Good morning. Let's talk about inflammation. Why? Because it seems to be the problem with everything that I'm dealing with, certainly. For years, I have said on Thyroid School, thyroid disease is an inflammatory disease. It is made worse by inflammation and it causes inflammation. I would say in the last week, I've watched about 15 webinars, doctors' interviews on lipedema. And finally, I came across one, which was quite an old one, by an Alexandro Amato. He said the same thing about lipedema. It both causes inflammation and is made worse by inflammation. So here I am going, my two major issues are caused by the same thing and makes the same thing, inflammation. So then I started deep diving into inflammation, which I have done many times before on Thyroid School, right? Don't get me wrong, I've looked at inflammation, but this was the first time I went, oh, hang on a sec. My two major issues are directly related to inflammation. This needs to be a major part of my strategy, of my learning, of my research, and my understanding in my own body. What causes inflammation in my body? Not what causes inflammation for everybody else. What causes it for me? What makes it worse for me? That's what we've all got to find out. What are the things that specifically affect us? Just so I can bring you the notes of all the other videos I've watched this week. Ben Bickman, he studies fat, this dude, and he's so interesting. If you've never heard of him, find his video he's done. I'm pretty sure he's probably done one on thyroid disease as well, but he's definitely done one recently on lipedema where he explains why the lipedema fat becomes fibrotic and hard and causes pain and all the things. And it's so interesting. So I highly recommend that. But it's inflammatory processes in our body that cause the fibrosis around that lipedema fat, causing pain. So inflammation. Leslyn Keith, if you've been in the lipedema spaces for any given amount of time, you'll have come across Leslyn Keith. She says inflammation after surgery is always lower in animal-based eaters. That was one thing I came across of hers. Carbs are inflammatory to the lymphatics. To cause inflammation in the lymphatics of mice so that they can study the lymphatics, they feed them fructose. So if you're having sugars that includes fructose, which is in a lot of fruits, vegetables, things like that, you're directly contributing to inflammation in your lymphatic system. Okay, Karen Herbst, holy grail of lymphatic issues and lipedema and lymphedema. Inflammation slows down the lymphatic system. So imagine you've got a lazy river flowing just slowly but happening. Then you chuck a whole bunch of furniture in it. It's not going anywhere, is it? So inflammation of the lymphatic. And Dr. Melissa, I don't know her surname, from a YouTube channel called Natural Health Resources, anti-inflammatory diet, anti-inflammatory liquids, anti-inflammatory skin products, hair products, personal care products. It all contributes to inflammation depending on how badly you react to different things. It made me think about what I know about myself and inflammation. I certainly know hormones out of whack can cause inflammation. My thyroid is a good example. My thyroid, when it's out of whack, causes inflammation. And just having chronic thyroid disease for 35 years tells me that it's still out of whack because I still need medication to deal with it. Even though we hear estrogen drives lipedema, any kind of hormone that is out of whack will cause inflammation, which probably drives the lipedema, is my understanding so far. Don't forget, this is all about what I'm learning, and I'm just kind of bringing the shortcuts of all the videos I've watched so far, which is hopefully helpful to you because not many people have the bandwidth to sit down and watch a 2 or 3 hour medical interview. But I love that sort of thing. Inflammation is key in my sights right now for myself. I already know hormones cause problems. I already know for me, when I eat grains, causes me problems. I bloat up, my puffing around my legs, my inflammation. It's very evident. It doesn't make me less human reaching for those things. But I really try to stick to kind of my dirty carnivore way of living. And I say that to myself because if I go off track and eat carbs, in my head, I'm telling myself, no, you need to be eating carnivore. You're carnivore, which makes it really easy to backtrack and go back to it. That is why I do it. I've said in another video at some point that over the years I've learned with people, and I'm a people, I do this too, we all do it. If you say you can have a treat once a month, you'll probably have it once a week. If you tell yourself you can have a treat once a week, you will probably have it once a day. It plays out all the time. Not many people have the pure willpower, because we're all tied up with emotions and feelings, because that's what we are. We're feelings in a body, and that's what drives us, is those feelings. Not many people can get past all of that sort of stuff to be strict and no, nothing else, unless you've got a really good fear-based reason. Generally, most people can't change their lifestyle based on what they want. It's usually what they fear. There's studies around this, if you don't believe me. I remember one doctor that I follow, and I can't remember who it is, but I remember her saying, you can't inspire people of what might happen. And that's the same sort of thing. Something that's coming on, something that they've got going on, something that might come back. So if you've got nothing kind of going on, for me right now, my weight's stable, I feel healthy, I feel strong, I feel the best I have since I was 21. And so it's really easy for me to stray, because there's kind of nothing going on that I'm like, oh, pull your head in, except for watching my ankles, my lipedema cuffing, get bigger or smaller. That's kind of the only thing that makes me pull my head in. Inflammation's a tricky thing. Stress brings about inflammation. Blood sugar swings. When your blood sugar goes crazy because you're doing the carbs or whatever over last Easter, if you ate an Easter egg or you ate a hot cross bun or something like that, it will have gone crazy. That causes inflammation. Gut health. Your gut health being out of balance will cause inflammation. And your gut health is very specifically tied to thyroid issues, which even if you don't have a thyroid issue, if you're here and you're like, oh, no, I've only got lipedema, that's why I'm here. There are some really interesting studies out there of the connection of thyroid disease and lipedema. And that's because they're both driven by inflammation. They're both inflammatory diseases. So I get that now. I didn't get it before, but a lot of you that private message me and so on will say to me, yeah, no, I've got Hashimoto's and lipedema. So it's really, really common. So your gut health is really, really important in keeping things on the straight and narrow. Toxins you put into your body, that Dr. Melissa, the anti-inflammatory, we don't just think of anti-inflammatory food and drinks. Often people forget the drink side of things. Leslie Keith said that high fructose diet is how they bring on lymphatic issues with mice. So if we're having the anti-inflammatory diet, but forgetting the anti-inflammatory drinks, and by that I'm talking about fresh juices. I know, because I did it for a really, really long time. I did a 17-day green juice fast once back in the day. Did it do anything for me? No. But that's okay, because I didn't know any better. And every time you learn something about your body, that's great. That's information. That's data for you of, oh, that actually didn't do anything for my body. Didn't change the inflammation, didn't change my weight, all the things. And now I know why, because I have lipedema. That fructose in those juices, even if it's mostly vegetables, it still keeps the inflammation going on in the lymphatic system. Body product, hair shampoo, hair products, makeup, all of that will contribute to inflammation, particularly if you're already prone to inflammation with lipedema, with thyroid disease. We've got this thing going on that we're far more prone to little things that most people would go, it's fine, it's fine, because we have inflammatory diseases. You've got to be even more on top of things, which I know there are times you just think, oh, for goodness sake, why can't I just eat the things and not think about it? Why can't I just use whatever hair thing I want or dye my hair, all the things? I don't know. It is what it is. But I do know, for the most part, I try to find balance. And I find that now I don't dye my hair anymore. I stopped that. I very rarely use hair products, every now and again, because I constantly have new growth coming through. So every now and again, I'll use it's called Natural Egg hairspray to dampen it. If I'm doing videos, I'm not wearing makeup. So I don't worry about makeup. I can't remember the last time I put makeup on, to be honest. That's my balance. For the most part, I don't use anything that's too toxic. I don't use a lot of different skin products, hair products. I don't use fluoride toothpaste. I generally use like coconut oil, castor oil, things like that for skin stuff. If there's anything that's not quite right, go through your cupboard. You could probably cut your inflammation down by a quarter just going through your bathroom cabinet and your makeup drawer. Next thing, sleep. Poor sleep will cause inflammation in the body like there's no tomorrow. Sleep is when we anti-inflame our body. That is when everything gets cleared out and we deal with the toxins and the lymphatics get a chance to clear out. If we're not sleeping properly, inflammation stays. Another thing, always being in fight or flight. Now, this is the stress. It's funny because I've been saying this for so long, we've got to deal with the stress. And I saw this really big video that had millions of views because she was talking about cortisol and the effect of cortisol. And I'm like, it's stress. But people seem to hook into the cortisol because that sounds more important than me just saying we have to work on the stress. Everybody seems to go, yeah, with the stress. And I know because I've tested this on thyroid school for years. It's starting to take traction when I say we have to work on stress because I word it in a way that they go, oh yeah, I do feel that. But I was like, okay, I should have been using the word cortisol all this time because that sounds more legit. But that's okay. I don't stress about stuff like that. I don't need to. Less stress in my world, the better. However you want to address it and think of it to make you feel like it's more important, whether that's you have to lower your cortisol levels or you have to lower your stress levels. I don't care how you think of it, but that is probably the overriding thing that you can do of everything. I got to be honest. If you came to me and said, all right, what do I change first? I'd be like, right, what stresses you out? And that might be food or that might be, something physical, but whatever stresses you out the most right now, when somebody says to you, tell me the worst thing that's going on in your life, whatever that is, that's what you work with. That's the starting point to my way of thinking. I have watched all these videos and they all come down to this same thing, inflammation. So what can you do? If you didn't watch my planning video a little while back, sit down and mind map, art paper, texters, colored markers, whatever. What things are you ingesting, thinking, putting on your body that could be causing inflammation? Look at all of those and go, right, what can I work on? What are the easy, low-hanging fruit that I can remove from my world that I don't really use much anyway? Perfume, perfect example. So bad for us. Smells amazing if you have favorite perfumes. I'm with you. Most of the time, do you know when I get admired for what I'm wearing? It's when I get a rolly ball of lavender, essential oil. That's when people go, oh, you smell nice. What are you wearing? Not when I'm wearing my $100 bottle of Marc Jacobs Daisy. It's never then. It's when I wear the lavender essential oil, which is really good for me and it lowers cortisol. So yay. So what can you change? Sit down, figure it out. I can't tell you change this, change that, change, because your life is different to mine. My life is different to yours. This is what I'm working with my inflammation. When it comes to food, any food you repeatedly eat often will cause you inflammation. We're not actually designed to eat the same thing over and over again. And I am specifically talking about fruit and vegetables and legumes. I have done tests where you have your, intolerances checked every 6 to 9 months. And I learned something very obvious after doing this for a couple of years. And that was you would be given your intolerances, you're intolerant to, XYZ. So you start having the foods that you're not intolerant to, because any intolerance, it doesn't matter if it's not an allergy, any intolerance will cause inflammation in your body because your body's just not tolerant of that particular plant, chemical, or whatever it is. So you would swap to whatever foods your body wasn't reacting to and not have those. For example, almond milk. My body was reacting to almond milk. So I swapped to macadamia milk because my body was fine with that. 6 months later, another test. My body was now fine with almond milk. My body was now no longer fine with macadamia milk. And this played out with everything. I had to change my basic natural laundry detergent to one that had chemicals in it. And by the time I did the next test, well, the chemical ones was no good. I could swap back to the natural one. Moral of the story is anything that you use day in, day out, your body will develop an intolerance to it. So here's the kicker when it comes to food, products, that kind of thing. It is mixing it up every day. You shouldn't have the same thing once in 4 days, is what I'm sort of learning in all the literature, that once in 4 days, you will be fine. You won't develop an intolerance. Now, I'm talking about intolerances, not allergies, remember? If I was going to follow that, say, milk with my coffee, day 1, I would have almond milk in my morning coffee. Day 2, I would have macadamia nut milk in my coffee. Day 3, oat milk. Day 4, maybe I would have full cream dairy milk, because I can now have that every now and again. It doesn't really affect me now for whatever reason. I don't have it often though. So I might have something different every day. But then there's the coffee. You're having the coffee every single day, the same beans, right? So there's this whole rabbit hole you could go down of how to make sure you're not repeating. The thing is, we have the same fruit. For us, for years, Pink Lady apples, that was the variety of apples. Instead of one Pink Lady, one Golden Delicious, one Granny Smith, one, whatever, and you eat the same fruits, you eat the same veggies. We're kind of creatures of habit like that. So that's where fruits and vegetables, the plant toxins in them, cause problems in our system. Inflammation wise, food wise, try and mix up your foods and not have the same thing. It just means shopping a little bit differently, getting less but a bigger variety of things. Remove all your skincare and things like that that are commercial grade that is full of crap. It doesn't matter what you think they do for you. I'm willing to bet it doesn't do anything. We just do it and it makes us feel good. Find something natural that makes you feel good. And stress. That's the 3 areas, because if you work on those things, then the hormones will straighten up. Not having fructose, keeping your blood sugar even, that's a hormone. Your blood sugar produces, if you're going up and down, that produces insulin. That's a hormone. So that's keeping your hormones in check. Hormones drive lipedema. So everything that we do that's wrong, when you hear, hormones drive lipedema, estrogen drives lipedema, this, that, and the other, it all comes down to the inflammation, is what I'm gleaning from all the videos that I'm watching. I could be wrong. And what I have noticed, because I've been watching some videos that are 10 years old, 6 years old to now, even the information is changing. So the other thing is that we've got to be open-minded as to what could be causing us inflammation and what could be contributing to lipedema getting out of control. Even if we've had it all our life and then just suddenly at 40, oh my God, it's out of control. Why? Did you suddenly start dyeing your hair because you started going grey? I was reading a thread today of that very thing. She was 40. She always knew she had it, but still had, a good slim figure. But all of a sudden at 40, it was getting out of control. You've got to kind of look at your life and go, right, what's happening right now? And we tend not to think about the things like, I just started dyeing my hair, or, I just started using this really fabulous face cream to lift the saggy skin from all the weight loss, which I don't. Is that causing you inflammation in your body? And you just don't think of it. So you've got to look right round your entire environment, what you eat, what you drink, what you use, what you consume, what you expose yourself to, all of it. You are the only one that's going to figure this out. No doctor, no naturopath, no practitioner, unless you're paying big dollars, is going to sit with you and tease all of this out and dissect all of this. Only you can do it. Even if they do that, you're not going to be able to share with them at any given time, I keep waking up at 3 a.m. You forget that. You really do. So it's up to you to dissect your life, look at where the inflammation's coming in, because that's what I'm doing right now. I know where I muck up. I am not perfect by any means at all, not even close. So all I can do is look at the areas where I fall down and that I struggle and that I can't do things, and look at how, for me, can I improve that? What modalities will help me improve it? What mindset modalities will help me improve the areas where I'm falling down, where I could be helping my body? Because I don't want this to get out of hand now that I've lost all the weight and I'm still planning to have surgeries to remove the rest of the lipedema. How do I stop that coming back but still have a balanced, happy life, right? We're humans. We seek pleasure. That's why we struggle with all the things. And now we have all these processed foods and hyper palatable that is all about giving us pleasure. It's a struggle, but I will continue to pull it apart for myself. I will share with you whatever I find out as I go along, because I like sharing information inflammation. And I encourage you to please sit down and look at all the ways that you're possibly contributing to the inflammation in your body. And I will see you next time.